So let's take a look at the news this week, Adrian. This article was titled "A Disney Scam." Wow, that's strong. It's aggressive. Netflix Daredevil showrunner slams the MCU reboot decision. So, I've learned a lot about how the back end of comics and streaming and all this stuff works doing this show, Adrian. So Netflix, they had this Daredevil show, right? Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, I believe the name is. Something like that.
Vincent D.
Great character, great actors, great characters in the show. I've only seen the first season. You've seen the whole thing.
Yep, seen the whole thing.
I really enjoyed the first season. Ask me why I haven't watched more. I don't know. There's too much stuff to watch right now, to be honest.
Right.
Back in May of last year, Marvel confirmed that they were going to be adding a new series to Disney Plus called Daredevil Born Again, and this was going to be somewhat of a soft reboot of the Daredevil series, right? So more news comes out about this, and the ex-showrunner, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but he's shared some feelings about Disney because he thinks they're, we call this, Adrian, it's called pulling the okie doke on people. Okay, so you got one by someone, right?
Is pulling an okie doke like bait and switch?
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
Just
Yep. Yeah. For everyone out there, it's like a bait and switch, but we call it the okie doke, right? So what had happened was Marvel's rebooting this show, and they're recasting certain individuals. So Vanessa Fisk, who I don't know the actress's name who plays her, but I thought she was phenomenal in that role. They are redoing Kingpin's origin. They're not bringing back Foggy Nelson and Karen Page, who I thought were great characters.
That's a tragedy. That's a tragedy. I really like those two. You know how you have those supporting characters, like an Aunt May?
Yep.
They're not really important, but they help build the person that you're rooting for. And those two characters, kind of build up Daredevil on the back end. It makes him kind of human, probably.
Absolutely, it's a good. I mean, it's like the Alfred to the Batman, right? I mean,
right.
Karen played a huge role in that, for at least the first season I saw. And,
Yep.
And Foggy, I mean, they were friends since college, and then they had that falling out when he found out he was Daredevil, and to just scrap them. So I don't, and there's not a whole lot of information. I don't know if that just means they're not going to have these characters in that show, or if they're going to recast them. I would be a fan if they're going to eliminate them, just eliminate them. I wouldn't.
Right.
Why recast these two when you have the same Kingpin and the same Daredevil?
Right. I agree. It's like just get rid of, just eliminate them. Besides, they're kind of, in my mind, I've been through all the seasons.
Yeah.
In my mind, they're kind of iconic.
Right.
In the Daredevil series.
Yeah.
So I would rather them just eliminate them altogether as opposed to recasting them.
Yeah. So, but here's where they get a little funny. Okay. This is what this guy McKnight. I guess that's his last name. Thomas McKnight says that not only did they cancel Daredevil, so they actually did just kind of postpone it indefinitely, but they said they canceled it once the crew got a full raise and holiday vacation pay. So I guess timing was interesting, right? But here's the bigger piece. He said that this movie, this show, this reboot is an old Disney scam where they slightly rename a series to reset contract terms back to the first season. So I guess what he's getting at is the longer a show goes on, I would assume the more the people working on the show get paid, right? Because the show's been on for a little bit. It's making more money now.
It's like any other corporate scam. You're 25 days from retiring at a company you've been at for 30 years. They don't even want to give you the gold watch.
Yeah.
So they figure out a reason to terminate you or set you up so that you fall. I mean, corporate people and minorities get treated kind of the same way, but it's an old scam. They right at the very end. So yeah, we're gonna pay you, but the show is not gonna make it, so we're gonna fire everybody or we're gonna cancel the show. Not your fault, but we're not gonna pay you anyway.
Right. Yeah. And this little trick where they renamed it, and it's because it is essentially the same show.
Right.
Well, we don't know. We've not seen it yet.
Well, there's Daredevil in the title.
Right.
Whatever that means these days.
But they added and I guess this is the part that he's talking about. They added the Born Again to it to make it seem like it's a whole new series. So now they can reset it back to season 1,
right?
Which I guess is a way really just to screw everyone over who's on the film.
Right. We kind of talked about this, but not really. So there's this thing called continuity. you can have multiverses.
Yep.
You can have the animated series versus the Netflix series versus the movie series versus the TV series. They can all be different characters, but there has to be continuity. You know, if you're going to do a reset every 10 or 15 years so you don't lose the customer base that you have already. And this just shows that there's no continuity. They're trying to change the characters.
Yep.
They're eliminating people. Then they're canceling the show. It's a hot mess, and it's a lot for your fans to keep track of.
Yeah.
What was that?
Why bring Charlie Cox back if you're going to – why not just do a whole new show then?
Because I want you to be mad at somebody other than me. That's why. Not me. So the companies, they don't want you to be mad at the company, so they're going to hire Charlie Cox back. Yep. They're going to tell you they're going to bring the movie back, but then they're going to come up with an excuse why to cancel the movie. So you're not mad at me because we had to cancel the show because that's business.
Right.
But you would be mad at me if I canceled Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
So that's why they're doing it.
I think if you're going to bring him back, then continue the series. If you're going to do a reboot, then recast him. I mean, Charlie Cox was great, but every time I watch this new show, whenever it comes out, I'm going to think back to the Netflix series.
Right.
It'd be like they rebooted the MCU and then casted Robert Downey Jr. to play a new Iron Man.
Right.
And you're like, but I don't want to see him play a new Iron Man. I seen him play the first Iron Man. I want a new person.
Right. You know what you cancel? Cancel the Flash before you make that. Why don't you do that? Cancel the Eternals. Yeah. You know, don't cancel something that people actually want to see.
But you're not dying to see Eternals too?
There's an Eternals too?
Dude, I mean, there should be at some point.
No, I'm not.
Wait, are you telling me that Black Panther is better than Eternals?
Black Panther, Black Adam, Black anything.
That's what I meant, damn it. Rewind. Are you telling me that Black Adam's better than the Eternals?
Yes.
All right, moving on. So I mean, if we were a one and done, they would definitely be the buster this week, Disney, with the way they're behaving.
Yep.
Kevin Feige, speaking of Disney, MCU, Marvel, Kevin Feige, I don't know what his exact title is, but he pretty much is, he's like the captain of the MCU ship, right? Mm-hmm. He did an interview with GQ recently. That's interesting, Kevin Feige on GQ. Mm-hmm. Because anyone can get that, interview nowadays. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he talked about the whole idea that, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, gets so much credit for building the MCU. Mm-hmm. And he made a statement that, and he wasn't slighting, Robert Downey in any type of way. Yep. But what he was saying was that in many ways, Chris Evans is also one of those pillars, mm-hmm. if you will, that built that, MCU house.
Right.
And that he doesn't get enough credit. Mm-hmm. And which I thought about that. And I agree with Kevin on this. Mm-hmm. I think, Robert Downey Jr., yes, played an amazing Iron Man, and he was the catalyst to, starting this whole MCU. Mm-hmm. But without Chris Evans there, without that Captain America, character to play off of, I think he was, I would argue equally as important, but Robert Downey Jr. got more of the spotlight, being mm-hmm. the first movie, being the Iron Man. Iron Man's a lot cooler than Cap, from, mm-hmm. right out the gate. Mm-hmm. But I would say that Chris Evans, Cap, I agree, right up there with Robert Downey Jr. What about you?
I agree with all the above. Things obviously do happen. We're actually agreeing with something that, Kevin Feige
right, yeah,
says.
See,
right?
Yeah, we don't just hate on everyone.
We don't just hate them all the time. I agree. The reason that Robert Downey Jr. got the spotlight initially is because, spotlight means first.
Yeah.
And he came out first, and he did change the game for Marvel Universe.
Right.
Then he had a run. But then you can also say, Hugh Jackman, was a catalyst. I definitely agree. Chris Evans, especially since he switched from, Johnny Storm character, because that would have been a shit show of a career move if he had to, try to stay with that.
Yeah.
But also, the Tony Stark character is much more reachable. He's much more loving. He's much more approachable. He's a fun-loving guy. He's a rich guy with a bunch of problems, and people can relate to that more than a soldier.
Right.
The Chris Evans Captain America character is a soldier.
Yeah.
So people aren't going to necessarily want. He doesn't have that personality, and you can see it even in some of the movies where Tony and Steve Rogers are they're talking. Those characters are essentially the same.
Yeah.
So I do agree that Chris Evans should get the credit, even equally so. But then you can also bring in other actors,
Yeah, so pillars, there would be four, right?
Right.
Let's just go with that. So we have Robert Downey, Chris Evans. We're talking strictly MCU.
Yep.
Who would you throw next? Chris Hemsworth, Thor,
Chris Hemsworth, T'Challa.
T'Challa. Yeah. I mean, you could even Nick Fury. I guess depending on what
Nick
at
Fury,
what
yep.
part. I guess that fourth one really is like you could put a handful of people in there.
Right. I agree with that. So, but yeah, definitely the two top tier
Yeah.
really is Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. I agree with Feige.
And I would say you said, pretty much equal. I would agree with that. Because
Yeah.
when you think about, Robert Downey Jr., what you're talking about, the charisma that he
Right.
brought, completely different type of character. But then, think about their movies, right? How important Iron Man 1 kicked off the whole thing, right? Iron Man 2 came right after. So, I
Right.
mean, that. And then Iron Man 3, we really got to see that. That's one of those movies where we got to see effects of what happened in other movies, portrayed on screen because he had post or PTSD from the whole Avengers fight, going into space and seeing what he saw.
Right.
And then in Iron Man 3, which I love that movie. I think that movie slept on.
Right.
Now he's dealing with that and he got the little kid fucking with him. Like,
Right.
I think that movie's great.
Yep.
It's a Christmas movie. I tell my wife every year it's a Christmas movie because, there's Christmas in the movie. So to me, that's a Christmas movie.
There you go.
Right. I mean, in your book, Adrian, is Iron Man 3 a Christmas movie?
I wouldn't call it a Christmas movie, even though it lined up with it. Now, the Christmas, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Christmas special, that's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Things like that. What's the one with Groundhog Day? That's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
It's things like that.
Home Alone.
But Home Alone.
Movie, yeah.
But I wouldn't classify Iron Man 3 as a
You know
Christmas
what?
movie.
Well, one of I am. So, and this is the other thing.
Coin toss.
Yep.
Coin toss.
Oh, no, I'm just caught. For me, it is. Now, this is a lesson for some of y'all out there. We don't agree on this.
Right.
I'm not upset. I'm not going to get up and leave and
Right.
go write about you on Twitter or something like that. But I'm in my book, Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie, and I can't wait for Christmas season to rewatch it.
There you go.
But what I was getting at is, as important as the Iron Man movies were, and as important as that character was, the Captain America movies were right up there equally as, when they talk about moving this story, for kind of the issue that a lot of people have with the whatever phase we're in now, phase 5, where no one knows what the fuck's going on.
Right.
The Captain America movies really helped move a lot of that story.
Absolutely.
You think about Winter Soldier, right? Introducing Bucky, his whole deal, which then added to the friction that Tony and
Steve Rogers,
Tony and Steve Rogers had in Civil War, right?
Yep.
Which all those were Captain America movies,
Right.
And a lot of that kind of added, or it brought a lot of storylines into Infinity War and Endgame that then got wrapped up. But if it wasn't for those Cap movies, we would have had those character arcs.
Correct.
So I think, I agree. Kevin Feige, you're off. You're not a target this week, dude.
Right.
Yep. He's been up there before.
This week.
Yeah, this week. Next up. Oh, boy. Here we go. Thor, Love and Thunder.
Oh my
Who would have thought, Adrian, we'd be talking about this movie in 2023? Thor, Love and Thunder, directed by Taika Waititi. Fun name to say. Yeah. He's had some comments recently about the fan base, and he's reminding me like some of our ex-busters on this show. He's sounding a little bit like Ali Salim.
Yep.
He's sounding a little bit like Andy Muschietti. What is it with these, fancy name directors? And
I don't know.
God. So, you don't hear Matt Reeves. He just has a normal name. He's not complaining about shit.
Right,
It's all these funny-looking guys or funny-sounding guys. So, what he said about Thor: Love and Thunder is essentially, if you want it to be exactly like the comic, read the comic. Now, I've critiqued Thor: Love and Thunder. We didn't have this show back then, unfortunately, because that would have been a fun movie to make fun of. I know you're not a huge fan of this movie. Really, is it, is your thing the comic relief that is every, 14 and a half seconds in this movie, or what's your main issue with Thor: Love and Thunder?
This is my issue right here. Look at this. Look at this. This is not something that you should be seeing in the movie.
Right.
Period. This movie was
You mean
trash.
Thor doesn't do that?
This movie was trash. Maybe he does, but at least not in front of people.
Right.
This movie was trash. Again, this is, in my mind, these directors are just trying to stay in front of the limelight.
Yep.
They're becoming, forget the political stuff. They're becoming more social. They just want to become relevant. You are irrelevant when you're creating things like this. And, these crazy names of these directors that's always, bitching and moaning about stuff. They're like, again, what are the serial killers and the mass shooters? They always have like 3 parts to their name.
Oh, yeah.
These directors that put out these shitty movies, they got these weird names, right? Tiki, whatever your name is. It's like, why are you blaming us? We're not trying to see something that's exactly the same as the comics.
Nope.
We want continuity. We want something that makes sense. And there's not a lot of comedy in comic books. I don't know where they get off with this stuff. And this dude doing like yoga leg stretches and stuff. Yep. That's just ridiculous. And again, if you would just die, meaning just go away, don't bring this stuff up, then people won't keep talking about it.
Right.
You're the one that's bringing this crap up. We don't want to see this shit again. Why do I want to relive seeing Thor's nuts stretched across 2 space vehicles? Don't want to see it.
Nope. And the funny thing is, this is his own words. He said that he found it very difficult to nail the film's tone. Well, no fucking shit. We can tell. The problem, I'm okay with some of these movies being funny. I'm okay with some of them. But it has to make sense. This movie, you're dealing with Jane, who we've not seen in, since the first Thor movie.
Right.
Right? Who's, fans have been, we need to get, Jane back. She was a character a lot of people wanted back.
Right.
Right? And Natalie Portman plays her.
Yep.
And I think a lot of comic fans are a big fan of Natalie Portman. She's a great actress. They bring her back for this. They talk about her becoming Mighty Thor. Everyone's hyped for it. And, part of the Mighty Thor arc, at least in the movie, was that Jane had cancer. And then Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, called to her to almost protect her, right?
Right.
She's using the power, but the more she uses the power, the more it accelerates her cancer.
Right.
So think about that. We have Thor. This was one of his love interests, right? The first movie.
Yeah.
Broke up, right? Broke his heart, whatever. Got rid of her, him. They broke up, and now he sees her again, and now she has this power, and it's killing her. But my man Thor, he's just gonna have the time of his life while one of his ex-girlfriends is dying.
Right.
Everything's funny.
Yep.
Girl's dying of cancer, and everything's just fucking hysterical.
Right. Then you get replaced by a kid.
Yep, you're replaced by kids, and the kids they learn how to use the power like this, and Thor's been learning how to use their power for hundreds of years.
Yep.
And then the damn screaming goats every fucking 20 minutes. Like, remember that shit?
Wow.
Remember when they go to that the whatever land of the gods?
Yep.
And you got Zeus is just fat and like drunk, and like it's just everything has to be a joke.
Right. It's almost like they're trying to make everybody a Deadpool.
Yes.
Because Deadpool was so successful. Well, Deadpool was successful because that's his character. People expect that. They're just looking at a live version of the comic. Different iterations, different storylines, things like that. But there's continuity. There's no continuity in Thor dressing up like Deadpool.
Right. Nope.
Not literally, but you're trying to make him into exactly. You're trying to make him into Deadpool. Everything's funny, like throughout the whole movie. Come on, the first Thor was successful because you dropped in bits of funny throughout the process.
Yep.
I mean, the guy was a dick.
He was naturally funny. His arrogance was funny.
Exactly, his arrogance was funny. Don't make him a comedian.
Right. Yeah. Great point. In the first 2 Thor movies, in Infinity War, and what pisses me off is how well this character's arc was done, how it was taken from him being a complete asshole in Thor, right, to him being as much as Thor 2 as a movie sucked, you were rooting for him.
Right.
Thor Ragnarok, now same director, directed Ragnarok and Love and Thunder. Ragnarok was more of a comedy, but it fit the tone of that movie.
Right.
The real threat came at the end when Thanos' ship showed up.
Right.
So I mean, his sister, the whole deal, his father dies, but there was a good balance between humor and seriousness in Thor Ragnarok. But it also was a one-off.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we want every Thor movie to be equally as funny, if not more. And this is another thing that the director said. He said that Taiki said that it's an ongoing battle because I want my films to be entertaining. Well. Anyways, and I want a lot of humor in them. No shit. to poke fun not only at the idea of a space Viking, but to also poke fun at humans, how we bumble our way through life on this planet. Now, it sounds like the director is someone who's probably not a comic book fan.
Sounds like it to me.
Right? Because he's like, it's fun to poke fun out of a space Viking. Like, dude, this is Thor, a Norse god. Like, this is a very serious, important comic character. It has been for the entire, whatever it was at that point, 8-9 years of the MCU.
Right.
And now you want to make him a fucking joke?
Right. You know how you can make Thor funny all the time for Tiki Boy that wants to make people funny? Make him like a, what's that, Mixoplex or whatever? The little space, hidden gem. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's another hidden gem.
So why don't you have him like a little Thor devil or something? You know,
Okay.
have him come in, just not all the time, but just have him like a little, devil, angel thing going on. That way, that's how you can make Thor funny. He's not funny. I mean, he's an arrogant dick,
Right.
but he's not funny.
Right.
Like a comedian kind of a deal.
He's funny by accident.
Yeah, exactly. He's funny by accident.
Yep.
So do that. When you can't figure out how to make the movie, that means that you shouldn't be making the movie.
Yep.
Maybe. I'm just saying.
He even said himself, we did funny scenes about cancer. We did way more tragic scenes about cancer. Some audience really loved the humor part. Some audience really just want it to be the comics. And that's where I think he's wrong. It's not about being the comics.
It's not.
It's tone, not. Maybe you could argue that fans like the tone of the comics better than the short, but I don't think anyone, well, there's probably some idiot out there that just wants to see a reproduction of every comic. I don't want to see that.
Right.
I want to see comic book movies that are inspired by comic stories.
Exactly.
And they can change things up, but not things that don't make sense.
Right. That's an excellent point. Inspired by the comics. Continuity means that you are inspired by the comic. Not the same story, not the same storyline.
Yep.
But stick to the essence of the character and the ambiance of the character. Don't go and don't do a a nip tuck plastic surgery version of the character and make him something that nobody even understands. And then you blame the viewer, the people that's paying your salaries, for why we didn't understand what was in your fucking mind.
Right. And I think that's a great point, is the essence of the character, because Thor, we mentioned before, he's not a comedian. Now he was funny just because of him being naive, right, or ignorant to some of how things are ran on Earth. But they also made him, like, Thor is the hero. Right. He's been the hero in all the Thor movies, and in this one, it's like he now no longer is the hero. The kids are the hero.
Right.
And I thought that was a cheap way. I thought that was a cheap ending. I didn't like it. Like, one of my favorite parts of the Thor Ragnarok movie, as much as it's funny along the way, is at the end when Thor comes back and just wrecks everyone.
Right.
You got, I forget the name of that war song that's playing. He's coming down the side of the screen with the light. And it almost looks like the Batman Dark Knight Returns cover. He's right on the what the hell's the Rainbow Bridge called? Oh man, Heimdall. Shit.
The Rainbow Bridge.
Damn it, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Someone out there is probably like, this is what it's called. So anyways, you're right. It is great. But I mean, that Thor came through and wrecked shit or Infinity War when he comes in at the end, with Stormbreaker and fights Thanos. And instead this one, he's just like babysitting a bunch of kids and they help him electrify everyone. Like, it's stupid.
Well, I mean, it's also, we talked about neutering certain characters.
There you go.
In a way, they didn't do as bad what they did to my man with the in Guardian of the Galaxies. Made him look like a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it that bad. But between now he's the nanny and he's trying to be funny, and you're switching his gear. Yep. Like Odin said, are you the god of hammers?
Yeah.
Or are you the god of thunder?
Right.
So they're taking all of that, his persona, away from him. Switching up his hammers, his gear, what he does. He's fat. Yeah. He's not. He's in love with this chick, and he's feeling some kind of way about that. Drinking all the beer. So they're slowly killing him. They making him into the joke that when I first heard the Thor movie coming out, it was like everybody was laughing like, you're going to make a movie about Thor? Like, seriously? Right. He's like a third tier kind of a superhero. But then the movie came out and it was great, but now they actually making him that laughing joke. And it's sad.
Yeah. And actually, looking back on the Thor movies, I like Thor 1 a lot more than I did when it first came out now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's aged very well.
Yes.
Like, if I had to rank them, I'd probably say Ragnarok, Thor 1, Thor 2, and then Love and Thunder.
Okay.
Love and Thunder, as much as Thor 2 is a shitty movie, I would pick that over Love and Thunder just because of how stupid Love and Thunder is. You know?
Yeah. Love and Thunder is probably okay. So, The Flash isn't even on the board. It's not even in the arena. But let's say for numbers, The Flash is probably, let's say, a 0, right?
Wow, you knocked it.
And Love and Thunder is probably like I would say a 3.
A 3. Okay.
Yeah.
I gave Flash a 5, I think, when we first watched it.
Yep.
I said it was mid. And I think the more we talk about it, the worse I make it sound.
Right. Bring it on down.
But it does have some major flaws. If I'm saying Flash is a 5, well, actually, so you're saying Thor: Love and Thunder is better than The Flash.
I'm saying Thor: Love and Thunder is better than The
You
Flash.
had to
yes.
rewatch one of them for some reason. Which one would you rewatch?
Neither. I go off Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
I go off my memory until even that fades. And then when you bring up Flash and Love and Thunder, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
You were locked up in jail, and they said the only way we're going to let you out is if you watch one of these movies. What are you picking?
God, well,
Or would you just stay in jail?
after trying to squeeze my head through the bars first because
Yeah.
I'm trying to get away from both of these things, I would go with Love and Thunder.
Yeah. I think I'd go with The Flash, dude.
Wow,
I think
dude. Dude, I just
think I
threw
would
up in my
do-
mouth, dude, just from you saying that. You pick, oh, man, that's bad. That's bad.
Hey, there you have it. Now, what do you guys say? You have no choice. You have to watch one of these 2 movies to get out of jail: Thor: Love and Thunder, or The Flash. Let us know. See, you agree with me? Agree with Adrian? I'm
Right.
saying The Flash. You're saying Love and Thunder. I think both of us are going to be pretty nauseous by the time it's over, anyways. Right. And I am going to ask too, like, wait, how long do I have to stay in jail? If I don't watch these movies, how long do I have to stay here for?
Yep, don't come up with excuses like I did.
Yeah.
Don't try to sidetrack the question. Just
Nope.
which one it is. They both sitting on your bunk, right?
Yep.
Love and Thunder, Flash. Which one you got to watch? And in order to get out, like, immediately, as soon as
As soon as it's over.
as soon as the end credits, and you got to go through the post credits too,
Ooh.
the post movie, whatever you call
Yeah.
that. You got to go through the entire thing. But as soon as that's over, the screen goes black. You are immediately out of jail.
Right.
Which one would you do? Flash, Love and Thunder.
Yep. There you have it. Last piece of news. Jonathan Majors. Is Jonathan Majors being replaced? As of right now, it looks like no. So, there was an article that from the Direct, they basically they're claiming, DC. God, Disney has made their decision on Jonathan Majors, and it looks like they're keeping him in the fold. Loki season 2 premieres soon, within the next few weeks, I believe. And you've seen the trailers; he's heavily featured in these.
Yep.
They're doing speaking of the Flash, they're doing the opposite of what DC did with Ezra.
Right.
Jonathan Majors I wouldn't say he's at the forefront. Now it's also not his show; it's Loki's show.
Right.
Which makes sense. But as being the main antagonist, he's featured pretty heavily within this trailer.
Right.
Now we talked about this before on here, and in a nutshell, neither one of us are lawyers, attorneys, legal, advisors. But what it looks like right now is he was arrested, he got out, he's waiting to go on trial. Innocent till proven guilty. Right. A lot of the information that's come out, the evidence that they shared with us, does make it sound like it's Jonathan Majors kind of being targeted here. It does make it sound like there was a scuffle that really was, started by the girl in the situation, and we know how, maybe you don't know, but how law enforcement works. When there's a call, when there's domestic, somebody's going to jail.
Right.
Right. Well, who is it? Which one you want to go?
Right.
So as far as that, I don't know how the legal part of it's going to work itself out, but I guess I respect Marvel's decision in not doing what DC did. Now, DC was a little different because Ezra Miller, was legit convicted of doing these things.
Right.
And my man's throwing chairs to people and kidnapping families and shit. This is not just when Crazy Girl got drunk and scratched you and you got in trouble. But so I'm with Disney on this one.
Right.
Keep him in the fold. Now I wouldn't and maybe this is where you think about it being a business versus trying to make everyone feel good. I wouldn't put him in the forefront of everything,
Right.
because what if they go to trial and who knows how it's going to turn out? They uncover some other evidence and realize like, shit, we don't want this guy.
Right.
But I would also keep him in the fold, because again, innocent to proven guilty, and
Right.
from a acting standpoint, from what he brings to the table, that was the highlight of that shitty Ant-Man movie. I definitely watch Ant-Man over The Flash or Love and Thunder any day of the week. So,
Agreed.
but I'm with it, man. I say keep him in the fold. I'm looking forward to Loki 2, and then Kang and they also have plenty of time. Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, they're talking May of 26 and 27 now,
Right.
so they got time to figure this thing out.
Yeah. I agree too. I mean, not downplaying domestic disputes and all the tragedy that could happen in situations like that. But I mean, there's a lot surrounding this stuff. There's more questions than actual actions. My biggest thing is that if the girl didn't press charges or whatever, why is the district attorney? Why are we even still talking about this?
Yeah.
We're talking about this because this guy is such a big ticket item. We're talking about this because Disney, I'm not saying protecting him, but they're not dropping him at the first sign of all this stuff. So there's a lot going on that we don't know about. But, on the outside looking in, it doesn't appear that Major's involvement wasn't as, to the depth that you would think that it would be initially. So I'm rooting for him. Again, but I also agree that, don't make your whole universe around this guy.
Right.
No one person should be there, because we're human, we're fallible.
Yeah.
So I agree on keeping Majors. I agree that how Disney, I won't say tiptoed through this. I think they managed it appropriately enough.
Yeah.
They didn't make a statement initially about what they was going to do, which served them now, which means that they can slide him in and out or replace him at will. I hope they don't replace him because I don't think they're going to find that kind of a talent. Well, that's not true. I think right now they have a very good talent in the person that's portraying the character, and I think they should move forward with him.
Yeah. Funny thing is, in the news, I think TMZ released this probably a week or two ago. There's footage of Jonathan Majors breaking up a fight. It's like a high school teenage fight. Two girls are going at it, and he's in the middle, like separating them. So and a lot of people are saying, wow, his PR team is really good, right? Like, was this something staged? What, do you think that? I guess I don't put anything past people. Do you think there's a possibility that his PR team said, you know what, since there's some allegations about you being violent, why don't we film a video of you preventing some violence and then put that out there to the world to see that you're a hero?
Okay. So when I hear that, it immediately makes me think about and y'all don't kill me. So the kid got killed in Florida. And the wannabe cop followed him, right? They got into a fight, and then he killed the kid.
Yeah.
And they went through all this trial. He got off and blah, 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 blah. But then to build up his persona, he supposedly jumped across a median and saved somebody from a car crash.
Yeah.
That's what I see in this. You know what? Just don't do it.
You know where I thought you were going? I thought you were going with Jussie Smollett. Like, it's a stage. Nah. This ain't that bad.
No. Well, the Jonathan Majors thing isn't as bad as just a smaller thing, but none of them was as bad as the kid getting killed and this guy coming back and doing all this other crap.
Yep.
So that's where I went.
Yeah.
This is just something that just stay out of the limelight. That's, just don't do it.
Yeah, what you thought was a good look was not a good look. It actually, as much as you're innocent, that makes you look guilty. Right. The fact that you have to go and, or hey, maybe just Adrian was at the right place at the right time and, decided that he should step in and save these two from being violent. But, all right, well, that wraps up our Newsflash Buddy segment. So who is it this week, Adrian? I think we have, this week we have two contenders. We have Disney as a whole, and then we have Taika Waititi. Now, we have a coin just in case we don't agree.
Uh-huh.
Y'all know we have this two-faced coin here. It's a little scratch. That's heads, tails. My vote, and I'll tell you why. My vote is going to Taiki Waititi. Now, I'm probably butchering that name, but whatever. Because the Disney thing, as much as if what Disney is saying, or if what this guy is saying is true, then Disney is definitely in the wrong. Now, who knows? Maybe their plan all along was to have a whole different Daredevil show, and maybe the reboot was not all about screwing everyone out of their money. Now, that's definitely a possibility that it was. So I'm not going to go all in on Disney. I'm picking Taiki because he is just flat out saying some messed up shit, saying some things that are wrong. And if he was here, and, you know, maybe I wouldn't do it, but some other people look like me would probably snap on him and give him the whole newsflash buddy. So I'm picking my man Waititi. What about you?
I agree with you.
Okay, we don't need the coin.
We don't even need the coin this week. No, I'm down with that. For all the reasons that you said, I don't need to regurgitate it.